Hi friends, and welcome to my quick forging guide. Let's just get started. There are three types of forge. We have our chaos forge, our enchanted forge, and our regular forge. So first let's take a look at the regular forge. In this you can take a piece of equipment, whether it's in your inventory from over here or something you have equipped from over here. You can't use it for rings, sorry. And what you can do in here is you just improve its level. So this spear is shadow level 2. You can, if I spent 15 eyes, which I don't have right now, and 150 flux, I can get it 1 more star. Any level of gear you can add 5 stars to it, and at that point you have to graduate to the next. So this is shadow level 4. It's got 3 stars. Notice that at shadow level 2 it costs 15 eyes and 150 flux, but at shadow level 4 it costs 50 eyes and 400 flux, and that's per star. It becomes more and more expensive as you go, so I would definitely recommend do it gradually. Get all your gear to shadow level 2, then get it all gradually up to 3, one at a time, but get up to 3, all your things up to 3, then get one thing up to 4, another thing up to 4. Don't try to get one thing straight to radiant. It's not the best way to do it for your time. So you'll notice some things you put in the forge, and what? That's not eyes or flux. So these are, it says you need thrice forged shadow souls. You need 2 of them. So this is shadow level 3 and it's full stars. Once any item reaches full stars, with the exception of resplendent or down or shadow level 1, but anything shadow level 2 or up, once it gets to full stars, it's going to take a number of shadow souls of a certain type to get it up. So over here you see I have 2 twice forged shadow souls. So twice forged you get from disenchanting shadow 2 equipment. It says it right there in the tooltip. Read the tooltips, guys. I have 1 thrice forged, which shows up over here, but I don't have 2, so this is still stuck at shadow level 3. It's not going to get to 4. What I'm eventually going to do with it is I'm going to use this to get another one of these. I'm going to use these 2 to go in here, and I'm going to disenchant this to get a quad forged soul, which will eventually go towards making something like this, shadow level 5. But not yet. So that's the regular forge. I recommend with the regular forge you only forge items that are resplendent and up. You can forge something from resplendent up to shadow. It doesn't start taking Eyes of Cthulhu until you get to shadow. So forging something all the way up through resplendent, it's not the most efficient thing for flux, but whatever. I recommend if you're forging something to keep, right? Like you want to keep it. You're not forging it like this. I'm not going to keep these. I'm forging this up in order to turn it into a higher level soul. I'm not going to keep these. But this, I like this face. I'm going to keep it. So I recommend with things you're going to keep, first, the first 2 stats, you can't change those at any point once you get it. So when you're looking at gear that you want to keep, make sure it's got the first 2 stats that you want. If the 3rd or the 4th don't line up, that can be changed later. But if the first 2 aren't what you want optimally, then you want a different piece of gear, because you can't change those 2 stats. So prioritize the first stat and the second stat. First stat is the same on any piece of that type of equipment. All faces have health, all hats have health, all weapons have either physical damage or magic damage depending on what they are. So really it's that second stat. I like to play tanks, so max health always on the first one, but health regen really useful for tanks. So that's why on the hat and the face you see health regen as the second stat on both of those. So taking another look at gear, you've got that's the forge again. You've got the enchanted forge. So the enchanted forge, you can put something in there and you use pearls of wisdom. Now, pearl of wisdom you can get from vendors in the Treasure Isles biome. They're on a ship on the sail. Instead of being a fisherman, it's like a pirate captain head. dark colors like purple and black. You can buy a Pearl of Wisdom for 1,000 flux. I recommend save up like 5,000 flux, go find a vendor, buy 5 at a time instead of every time you get to 1,000 you just wander out there trying to find one. Save yourself some time and hassle, just forge or just buy them in bulk. Save up, then go looking to buy them. Notice that this spear that I'm using only has 3 stats, it doesn't have 4. If I used a Pearl of Wisdom on this spear right now, I would get a 4th stat. I can't because I don't want to anyway, but I would get a 4th stat. First Pearl of Wisdom you use on any piece of equipment will give you a 4th stat. After that, if you take a look here, notice how this has all of these circles. I can't mouse over them, sorry, but all of those circles next to all the stats. Notice how this doesn't have any circles. This has circles next to health and attack speed. You look over here, this has 1 circle by Lasermancy. This one's got 1 circle at physical damage. Those circles represent Pearls of Wisdom. You can apply up to 2 pearls to any stat in order to increase that stat. It makes that stat better. This face has max pearls. I actually did that today. I cannot add any more pearls to this face. It's got max stats that it's going to have in terms of pearls. It's still only Shadow level 4 with 3 stars, so there's a lot more work to be done to get it up to Radiant, but it's done with pearls. So again, this has only 3. If I was going to go into this Enchanted Forge and use a pearl, it would get a 4th stat. I recommend look up a guide online to see what stats can go in what slots for different pieces of equipment. So use the internet, you guys know how. So that's the Enchanted Forge, using Pearls of Wisdom. Then the Chaos Forge. The Chaos Forge is used to randomize 3rd and 4th stats, just like it says. So, step 1, if you have something that only has 3 stats, don't use it in the Chaos Forge, because you're wasting your time. You could try to get rid of a bad 3rd stat, like stability. No one needs stability. Nobody needs knockback, right? Those are terrible stats. Say I re-roll it and I get jump and I'm thrilled I have jump, and then I add a pearl later and it gives me something bad here as this last stat that I don't want, like magic find. Well, now shoot, I don't want the magic find there, so now I have to re-roll this and I might lose my jump. If I re-roll, it's random. So recommendation 1, if it doesn't have 4 stats, don't do it. Recommendation 2, if it doesn't have the first 2 stats you want, this won't help you, so don't do it. 3, I recommend have at least 5 tentacles, more is better, before re-rolling something. Just earlier today, I was using tentacles on this spear, because it had the first 2 stats that I really wanted on it. I added a pearl to give it 4 stats, and then I re-rolled 17 times. I used 17 of these, and 170 flux. I ran out on all of them, but on my very last one, I got the stats I wanted, which was jump and max health, which was perfect. It was great. It should not have taken 17 rolls, but that gives you an idea. You should probably save them up, because you can't like undo changes that you made. Once you re-roll, it's done. Like, you just have to keep re-rolling to get the stats back if you want to do that. I have optimal stats on these that I want already. Again, look up online what stats you want for the classes you play. I usually play tanks, so these have the stats that I want. So other than that, I want to show you guys a bit of math that I did. This gives you an idea of what the grind is like for Shadow gear and Radiant gear. So at Shadow level 3, to get something to Shadow level 3, you need 2 Twice Forged Souls. Shadow level 4 is 2 Thrice. Shadow level 5 is 2 Quads. Radiant takes 3 Pentas and Purifying Dragon Flames. Oops, that should have an and. Don't worry about the Dragon Flames for now. But you get a Twice from disenchanting something Shadow 2, Thrice from disenchanting something Shadow 3, Quad from something Shadow level 4, and Pentas from taking Shadow 5 gear and putting it in the loot collector. Very expensive. So this is a breakdown to make something Shadow level 3, you need 3 pieces of Shadow 2 gear, one of which gets 5 stars added to it and becomes your Shadow 3 gear. The other 2 you don't add any stars to, you just break them down in the forge and then you're good. You use them for twice forged souls, and then you turn this into Shadow 3. So this is like a breakdown all the way down. But anyway, to get something to Radiant, you need 81 Shadow level 2 pieces of gear. Yeah, 81. I'm basing it off Shadow 2, by the way, because you can go from 1 to 2 without using souls. But a soul means you have to have a piece of equipment. You can't just use eyes and flux. So that's why everything's based off Shadow level 2, not Shadow level 1. So to get something to Radiant, you need 81 Shadow level 2 things. Now, I have been playing since Alpha, not all the time. I have no things even at Shadow 5. I have nothing Radiant. It's a grind. It's a huge grind, and if you look at this, you're going to want 1 hat, 1 face, 1 gun, 1 staff, 1 sword, 1 bow, 1 spear. So there's 7 total pieces of gear that you're going to want. So you're going to need 567 total pieces of Shadow level 2 gear to get full Radiant gear. That's a lot. Don't set this as your goal, full Radiant gear. For now, maybe your goal is get all your gear to Shadow level 2. Maybe you have stuff at Shadow 2, and now your goal is to try to get stuff to Shadow 3. You might have noticed over here that I'm running around with Shadow 3, Shadow 2, Shadow 4, like, and I'm quite strong for doing, Uber 5 up through Uber 5. I can't do Uber 6, but I did just fine on all of those. Shadow arenas aren't a big deal. So I would recommend to you guys, just go for Shadow 2 first. Get everything at Shadow 2. And once you do that, get stuff to Shadow 3. Also, quick suggestion, focus on your hat and your face. You can use 1 hat and 1 face for all your classes. That's what I do. I only have 1 good hat and 1 good face. But with weapons, you'll have different weapons for different classes. You'll have guns, staffs, melee weapons, spears, bows, and you can't use those with every class. So prioritize hat and face. And once you got those up, then maybe bring up a weapon to the next Shadow level. Do it gradually, keep at it, stick with it. It's going to take you a long time, that's okay. You don't need Radiant gear to do well in this game, it's just kind of fun. So it gives you something to shoot for, but until then, just get your gear gradually better, 1 star at a time, and you'll get there. Thanks guys, hope you enjoyed. This is my first video, so yeah, leave comments please. I'd love your feedback. Peace.